Hello, everyone. Hadley here down at Hillcrest Tennis. Today we are going to be talking about the serve. So we're going to jump right in. In July's newsletter, you're going to be seeing a little highlight of Jacob's take on the serve. And so I'm just wanting to kind of add on to what he will be saying into that video. I think that it has a lot of extremely important information, and so I'm going to touch on some of those topics just a little bit more and more specifically. So when we talk about the serve, a lot of times, people will say, I just don't have enough power on my serve, or my toss is always in a different place every time. So today I'm hopefully going to enlighten and help shed some light on some of those topics that seem to be kind of the most frequently asked questions and concerns about the serve. So first off, we're going to talk about increasing power on your serve. So typically when we start people off with serving, we start them off with serving, okay? And we start them off throwing. And so, really, the better thrower you are, the better server you will be. And so we sometimes, we'll have kids throw a football because that overhand motion along with that wrist snap so that they can get the spiral on the ball really helps them get that motion and that feel. So my recommendation would be to get more power on your serve is to practice your throwing. And so whether that's, going onto your garage or throwing with a spouse or a partner or your kids. And I would really suggest, making sure that you step up with a stance. So stepping up, staggered stance, and then getting your elbow at a right angle to your body, okay? And then that back, the palm of your hand should be back, and then you're gonna step and throw. And the throwing motion is really the same system as the serve. It's that same motion. It's throwing your racket across the net, that motion there. And so really making sure that you get the racket all the way back, getting into that throwing right angle motion and over the top here. And even doing those shadow swings will really help you feel and over exaggerate that motion. And really typically, it's if you can master the throw, then you can start using all of your power sources. Because I can say, make sure that you use your legs, or make sure that you're turning your shoulders. Make sure you're really pushing up and getting into your power position. But if you can't throw the ball effectively, then it kind of neutralizes everything if you can't throw the ball correctly. So that being said, it's getting a little breezy here. Give me one moment, please. Okay, so that being said, the bottom line is the ball will go only as fast as your racket. So, if you only start here, you can't generate as much power going into your serve that way. So you really want to make sure that you're practicing those throws. It seems really elementary and very basic gross motor skill, but if we can really learn and become a better thrower, we will become a better server, and your power sources will be more effective. It's that's the bottom line. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the toss. So a lot of times our tosses are a little too short, or they're a little erratic. They're a little bit too high to the side, to the right, too far out in front. So a little trick that we like to do is we like to think about tossing from the shoulder. So it won't be from the elbow or the wrist, but tossing from that shoulder, from that hinge right there. And that's going to allow your toss to be in the same spot every time. So tossing it here. Now, sometimes people will toss from behind them here, and that too much movement, so now you're hinging your body a little bit too much, that movement is going to cause the ball to be erratic. So now you're moving as you're tossing, and that's going to follow in. It's going to make the toss so that it's either behind you or off to the right too much. So making sure that you come straight off of your leg and straight up. So, and go all the way down and all the way up. If we short arm it too much, then now it's going to be too far out in front. So really I really like to think about the movement comes from the shoulder, and then thinking all the way to I like to think inside of the leg and straight up. And the ball should kind of create a line between the ball, your arm, and your leg. So if your toss is out here, if your arm is here, that probably means your toss is too far out in front of your body. So thinking about coming all the way down and all the way up, okay? And that's really going to help that toss become more consistent. So let's see. So we've talked about throwing, and so that throwing motion and our toss, and really the serve is the most complicated stroke we have in tennis, because it requires the coordination of a lot of steps. And so if we can mesh all of those things together, then we can create an effective serve. But really that coordination. And so really I like to think about it as just kind of setting up first. So getting set up is super important. Making sure that toe is pointed towards the post. So if you're right-handed, it would be your left foot forward, facing at a 45-degree angle. Okay, and then if you're left-handed, same thing, but just opposite foot, so the right foot. And then I think too often do we line up. We see too many people lining up too square. Get that toe turned, because now that gets your shoulders turned. If you're too square, now we have no rotation. And again, just think of it as a throw. If you want to throw the ball as hard and as far as you can, you don't want to be square to your target. You want to be turned slightly so that you can get that rotation, and then now you can use your power sources to throw as far as you can. So really thinking about it really all goes back to that basic throwing technique that's going to help establish that strong base for your serve. Okay, so now that you're turned, toes at an angle, okay, and then you're going to set up. So you want to be pointing to your target, or the direction, so diagonal, okay, and then you're going to drop. So hands drop together, okay, and now you're going to toss and hit, okay. So what happens at this point, now your left arm is up and your right arm is going to be coming around, okay, and now once you get to this point, now you're going to switch. So right arm comes up and left arm comes down. And The left arm, I think, is overlooked quite often, because it's basically, people think that it's done once it's tossed, but really it has an important role. If we drop that left hand too soon here and off to the side, now if you think about it, if I were to throw and I pull my arm this way, now my body is rotating, it pulls my right shoulder forward too soon. So really thinking, I've got to keep that left arm up, okay? And then as you swing, your left arm kind of tucks to your belly button, and it's going to tuck underneath, and that keeps your right shoulder back just slightly long enough so that you're not pulling around the ball too much. It would be like kind of throwing a sidearm instead of that nice motion over the top, okay? So think about tucking that left hand or that tossing arm into your belly button as you finish, okay? And then also, a lot of times we have people finishing to their, if you're a right-hander, finishing to the right of your body. You really want to be thinking across, just like a throw. We're not the slot machine. This motion, that's going to hurt your shoulder. You want to think across your body. So left arm tucks and across your body. Okay? So, that tuck is really going to help keep your shoulders level, okay? And it's not going to pull you too much. Okay, so now let's talk about your finish. So we've talked about the finish, but what happens with your feet? We don't just stay there, because now our power source comes from our legs, our hips, and our shoulders. So if we don't rotate, now we've eliminated some of our power source. So as you toss, now you've loaded on that back leg, and you want to create kind of like if you look, it's kind of a side bend, so it's kind of straight, okay? And so you're tossing, and now you've loaded, toss, load, and now you go, and you're going to end with that left foot, or your front foot is going to hop over that baseline. So you want to end up in the blue, and then you follow through. So that ensures that instead of going backwards this way, we're now moving up and out kind of at an angle, so that our body is pushing up into the ball. And now we don't have to use our shoulder as much, and now we're using our entire body, and that's going to ensure more power and also more control. So really thinking about, instead of using just your arm, really think about using your legs, kind of push up, and then ending up in the court. So like you're going to hop, 1 foot hop over that line and into the court. And that's going to ensure that body weight and that body momentum moving up into the ball. All right. So I really think really that toss and that left hand are, trying to coordinate that toss, and then switching that hand, and then getting that hand to tuck, and then also that pivot with your left foot so that it's landing inside the court is just combining all of those coordination, coordinating all of those items into one, and you're going to create this more consistent, stronger serve that will enhance your tennis abilities and also your match play. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about the second serve. So a lot of people are concerned because their second serve is a little bit weaker than their first serve, and And that is okay. That's typically, it has more, it's supposed to have more spin. It's supposed to be a little bit slower so you can get that point going. But the problem is we typically are hitting to the wrong part of the court. Okay, so a lot of times we're not thinking about where we're hitting it. We're just worried about getting it in the court. And if we can kind of shift that mindset into thinking, okay, I'm going to place the serve so that I'm starting my opponent off neutral. So you know that your opponent is going to be trying to take advantage of your second serve, which they should be doing. But if you can think about it and have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to place the serve to their weaker side. So, for example, if their backhand is their weaker side, trying to hit your second serve to the backhand side so that they're starting off neutral, so that they're starting the point off, not hitting to their strength. And then now you're on the defense. So really trying to shift that mindset into thinking like, so then that takes pressure off of your first serve as well. Typically we try and overhit on our first serve because we don't want our opponent to start off strong. But think about it again, shifting that mindset, trying to think about getting your first serve and placing it to their weaker side. If it is their forehand side, trying to place it to that forehand side, because now you're hitting your stronger serve to their weaker side. And then if it's a second serve, you're hitting just a nice solid second serve into their weaker wing. And so really trying to change that mindset and be deliberate about what you're doing, and not mindless tennis. Because if you can be deliberate and if you can be methodical about your shot selection, now your tennis IQ has gone up, and now you are thinking how you can, even if it is your second serve or if that's your weakest shot in tennis, if your second serve is your weaker shot, hitting it to your opponent's weakness is just as good as just starting off neutral. So really trying to shift that mindset into thinking how you can neutralize your opponent with your weakness, and how you can also how you can take advantage of your opponent with your strength. And I always tell members, I say, okay, if you're stuck in a rut and if you're having a hard time kind of getting into a groove, think about what your strength is and how can you hit your strength to your opponent's weakness. And that's how you kind of build yourself into the point, build yourself into the match. Especially if things are not going smoothly, just really think, okay, what is my strength and how can I expose my opponent's weakness with my strength, and do that. And if all else fails, that's a great game plan, because now you're doing what you do best, and you're doing your best to their weakness. And so that is my message to you today. I hope this helps. I apologize for a little bit of the wind distraction. It was kind of moving the computer on my stand, but thank you for joining us, and I hope that I clarified some important key aspects of the serve. If you get anything out of this video, I would encourage you to go out and throw the ball, become a better thrower, and that will help you become a better tennis player. And practice those tosses using your shoulder, not your arm or your wrist. Those are my key points today. I hope that this helps. Again, like always, we are here to help you and to help you improve. Please contact the tennis office or the tennis staff if we can help in any way. just a little recap of our junior programs. We have had a huge success this June thanks to all of our fabulous members and their kids. We thank you for that support. This is the last this Thursday is the last day of our junior program for June. We start back up July 6th for our July session. And that is across the board for our academy, our pre-academy, our orange level, and our red level. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and we will see you back here next week. And thank you for your support. Have a great day.